Hi and welcome to The Winning Factor. I'm Alan Aitken, and on this show each week we take a look at some upcoming races in Hong Kong and try to identify an aspect of the race we might look back on later as having been a path to finding the winner. Well, it's the calm before the storm, if you like. Of course, International Week next week, with the International Jockeys Championship on Wednesday night, and on Sunday the 4 Group 1s, and all the races on that day are, of course, on the turf. So this Sunday, the Jockey Club doing its best to save the turf, and we have only 4 races on that surface on Sunday, one of them down the straight, which won't be used on Sunday week. So it's very much a majority dirt meeting, and I thought that would be a good excuse to introduce a look at some dirt statistics into this week's show. So we'll get to that later. The first race we're going to have a look at as far as the form goes is race 4, and our winning factor here, the trainer. Now this Class 4 sprint, I'm sure we'll see some fans for Call Me Teddy getting a drop in class. Hugh Bowman's mount Spontaneous likewise drops back a grade here after having no luck at all in Class 3. Ace Talent is interesting, as he was a very easy synthetic trial winner twice in New Zealand, and he switches to the dirt here. And further down in the field, Stand Up and Miracles are both racing well. And to me, the major players here are the last 2 mentioned, Stand Up and Miracles. And as luck would have it, we can compare them pretty well, I think, from their runs on October 26 last start, when they ran within half an hour of each other, and both in races that were quite similarly run in ways that didn't help either of them. So first of all, race 125, and here we are looking at Stand Up. He's in pink colours, gate 5, jumps quickly, and in a good early speed he goes forward, but once the grey comes across to lead them, the rider on the grey horse stands on the brakes, and I don't really think that suited Stand Up, who gets quite keen. You can see his rider has to come away from the rail and give him a bit of clear room rather than run onto heels, and that allowed the eventual winner in orange colours, Fiery Diamond, to slip up behind into that spot that he left. So Stand Up, he still gets away in the straight and looks the winner for a fair while, but Fiery Diamond gets past him on the line, and they beat the rest of them very easily. Now that winner has since won again in Class 3, so that looks a good pointer. 30 minutes later, we saw Trader beat Youthful Deal, and Miracles finished in 4th placing here in a race quite similarly run. This is, of course, race 126. He's in purple and green colours, gate 9, and so Matthew Chadwick doesn't have the option to go with the leaders early and has to come back into midfield, just behind and outside the eventual runner-up. And again, we see that the leaders, once they found their positions, they slowed up sharply, even more sharply here than the previous race, and then they sprinted home faster. Now, for a fairly one-pace sort of horse like Miracles, that really doesn't suit him, that stop-start, and then the horses in front of him had too much acceleration and ran away from him in the straight. But you can see that he keeps trying and battles on pretty well in 4th placing. So, as well as those horses ran, I don't think that the manner of the race really suited either of them. Stand Up, because slowing the pace got him a bit keen, and Miracles, because he just didn't have the same acceleration that was required, and that the first 2 home in that race did display. But I'm expecting a totally different style of race on Sunday. And we have a number of runners on the map here with good speed right across the draw, but on the outside we see Flying Bonus. He's a horse with a terrific gate speed and is almost always quick enough to get right across the field and lead, even from the outside gate. Now, as I said, there is pace under him, but that's only going to make sure that he has to run along a little bit quicker to get past them, and I think we'll see a pace here that is average or faster, and certainly not stopping and starting like those replays that we've just seen. Now that sets the race up well for both of these horses, I think, but if we have to split them, I think the statistics on dirt make a very good case for Stand Up. And I'm talking about trainers. Now, his trainer, Frankie Law, he's the reigning Hong Kong champion, and you don't get there without a few strings to your bow. But since he started his career 5 years ago, Frankie has certainly been the star handler on the dirt at Sha Tin. Now, I've ranked the top 10 trainers here in that time by strike rate. And of course, we see Pierre Ung at the top there with 2 wins from only 11 runners in his first season. He's headed him off for the moment. We'll see if that continues. But off 300 runners, Frankie Law dominates every metric when it comes to dirt racing. Number of wins, strike rate, and his performance beyond market expectations are all standout figures. So the tip for me in race 4 is stand up. His winning factor, the trainer. I think the style of this race is going to suit a few of these runners, including the 2 I've highlighted. But when it comes to dirt racing, if you have to swing one way, it certainly pays to swing Frankie Law's way, and that gives stand up the edge. The other race I'm going to take a look at on Sunday is race 7, and our winning factor here is the map. Now, this is a 1650 metre class 3 and a pretty open contest, and I'm sure Zach Purton will have plenty of supporters for his ride, Handsome 12. Co-partner Elites is an interesting runner, switching to the dirt for the first time in Hong Kong, but he had a good record on it in Britain. Trader tries 1650 metres for the first time. Yes We Can has been in great form, and Frankie Law has an interesting newcomer, Harva Nagila, who has been trialling particularly well. So just like the trainers, some of the jockeys are better at riding on the dirt than others, so we have a graphic for that as well. And this is also the last 5 years since September 2017, and I've ranked them here by strike rate. Sha Tin has actually been the top dirt rider for punters in the last few years, as you see on the right, well ahead of the market expectations, but he's sidelined with illness at the moment and returning on Wednesday at Happy Valley. But Zach Purton, well, he's a prolific winner on this surface as well, like most surfaces, and with a top strike rate and a performance ahead of even the market's high expectations on our champion jockey, that certainly makes him a man to follow on this. An honourable mention here for unfashionable rider Dylan Moe, who can often be some value on this surface. Now in this race, Zach Purton rides Handsome 12, and we're going to have a look at his most recent run when beaten as favourite, and there are a couple of other runners I'll point out who are lining up again on Sunday. And this is race 129. True Legend is one of those other runners in purple and red. He's pushing forward on the inside, as he usually does, towards the lead. Royal Bomb is in light green, looking for a handy position, and just a touch slow away in yellow and blue stripes, white sleeves from gate 5. Handsome 12 settles in midfield here. Now, as you see on the heat map, the speed is strong mid-race, and then the leaders slow down in the straight. It actually looks a very good race shape for Handsome 12, and he looks quite dangerous at the 300 metre mark as he issues a challenge, but then only plugged home late for 5th placing. However, despite that not looking great on face value, the post-race vet report said that Handsome 12 pulled up lame in one leg, and I think that may have had something to do with that fairly tame finishing effort over the final stages there. But as I've mentioned earlier, the winning factor to this race is the map, so let's take a look at that. Now, since the replay that we saw with True Legend there, who always sets a good speed, he was in tearaway mode at his next outing to win over this course and distance, and he'll look to lead again with Trader, quick and stepping up from a life of sprinting previously. He'll be right there with him, and I expect that this pair is going to show out very clearly in front of the field. That said, there doesn't look a whole lot of other pressure on the lead. Now, co-partner Elites, he won 2 out of 3 on the all-weather in Britain, but has a very patchy record of jumping cleanly in Hong Kong, and that should see Handsome 12 able to get ahead of him in the run and sliding into striking range on the circle, as we saw in that replay. He'll also be ahead of Yes We Can, and Harva Nagila has drawn wide as well and isn't the best of beginners, so he's going to get back in the field as well. So the tip in race 7, Handsome 12. His winning factor, the map. Now there are a few chances in this, but I think that We've seen the stats showing how effective Zach Purton is on this surface. I think that with the draw the way it is, that Handsome 12 is going to find the right place on the map, while some of his major rivals have some considerable obstacles to overcome on the map. Well, that's it from the winning factor this week. Enjoy the racing on Sunday. We're all looking forward to Group 1 racing next week in International Week.